Today's guest is Leslie Holt. She's not only doing good work, she's doing the best work for children that really need us. And I appreciate you coming here, Leslie, and to tell us about A Child's Light and everything we need to know about it and why we should give you all of our money. So tell us how it started.
Well, that's amazing, Kirk. Thanks for that. So let me just tell you quickly what we do at A Child's Light for anyone who doesn't know, and unfortunately, not enough people do know. What we do is we fund children to get mental health treatment after, unfortunately, they've experienced incredibly heinous traumas like sexual assault, domestic violence, kids who are experiencing suicidal ideation for whatever trauma they've experienced. And we also, unfortunately, are now funding kids to get mental health treatment when they have lost one or both of their parents to substance use disorder.
Oh, wow.
Because although we like to think that the opioid crisis is over, it's not. And it is going to affect generations to come. So what we try to do is go upstream and help these kids, get them into quality, trauma-informed private mental health supports, and to change the trajectory of their lives.
Well, you've told me some incredible stories just in the past couple of years. What caused you to start this? Like, why did you one day say, "Hey, I need to open this thing called A Child's Light"?
So I won't go into my personal story, but if anyone's interested, they can go to our website at www.childslight.com, and they can see my story, mine and my daughter Lana's story there. But I can tell you that my personal life and my professional life, because at the time that we started this, I was a victim's advocate, and I had been a victim's advocate for 5 years with the County Crisis Center. And although they do incredible, wonderful work, the long-term chronic care, as you would imagine, at a crisis center, like anything, it tends to fall off because that's not their role. So I had the opportunity to work with really great therapists and to see that these kids needed chronic care after their abuse. And so we started A Child's Light. It became operational in 2019, and to date we have funded probably 200 and some children. And
200 and some children.
And that's long-term care. It's not 10 sessions and there's a cap. No, we endeavor to keep these kids in services for at least a year.
Okay, so when you say, you used a term, I think it was chronic.
Yeah.
Chronic. That's what you mean, that
Long
a kid
term.
needs help at least a year.
Right.
And maybe longer. So
Yes.
every session
Yeah.
every session they have to go through for a year. That's a lot. That's a major investment.
It is.
It sounds like a lot of money.
But compared to what it would be if we did not get these kids into services, let me just give you a quick stat. So to keep a person in Chester County Jail, it costs about $33,000. A Child's Light can change or possibly save a child's life with maybe a $3,000 investment, sometimes less than that.
That makes super financial sense, right?
Yes.
Like
Yes.
11 to 1. I mean, it's clear. If for no other reason than financial,
Exactly.
sounds amazing.
Yeah.
Obviously financial is not the reason, but it plays a part in everything we do. And I would imagine that, from what little I know, because I operate in the real estate world, I don't operate in this world at all. But I imagine if somebody doesn't do something for one of these kids, it would probably most likely wind up to be like a multiplier effect or something, right?
Yeah, for sure. And
Um,
that's exactly what happens to these kids. And what does happen to them, I'll give you another quick statistic. So, and I know that this is out of your realm and it's a disturbing little factoid here, but only 12% of kids will disclose their sexual abuse.
Really?
12%.
12%?
I've worked with children who have told me I never would have told.
Wow.
If someone else had not intervened and told for me, I never would have told. For the rest of my life, I never would have told.
Wow.
And so what happens to those other kids? But it's not that they assimilate, that they're able to self-heal. They don't. But the trauma manifests and it bubbles up someplace else. And so those are the kids that might get in trouble. Those are the kids that might experience early pregnancy. Those are the kids that self-harm. They're kids looking for a solution, and unfortunately, a lot of them self-medicate. And so I really look at a Child's Light as a prevention program for all of those, but mainly the solution of self-medicating. Because right now, no child can experiment with any type of drugs. I don't care what it is. It's all
Sure.
too lethal.
Yeah, it's all too much. Yeah. So when I think of this, I mean, I'm a numbers-based person. So I look at this and I go, okay, well, if 12% say that they've had an abuse, sexual abuse, that means that for every one that says they've experienced this, that means there's 6 more that we haven't even seen.
Sure.
And then for every one that goes to the county that we don't have enough resources for, then there's a multiplier effect there too. So every day when you go to work, you're trying to touch. I mean, this sounds overly like dark, but if those numbers hold true, then you're getting a chance to touch 1 out of 33 or something, 1 out of 35 that we actually get a chance to do something with.
Yeah. No,
Wow.
it is. It's pretty overwhelming, and I'm not sure. And actually, that's not true. I totally understand why people are adverse to discussing this. It's
sure.
horrible and it's hard, but people don't. People, if they're concerned, if they want to be a part of this with helping this multitude of kids just in Chester County, that's why we ask people to make a donation.
Yeah.
Because they don't have to run into the fire. There are
Right.
people out there that will do that.
I can handle it. Yeah, because that's a lot.
And
It's a lot.
I can tell you stories that would keep you up at night.
I've heard some of those stories.
Yeah.
But I'll tell you, I mean, on the upside of that is, every time you can make a difference, I would assume that again, that multiplier effect then reverses, because if someone's getting help, then they don't become an abuser themselves, or like you said, on drugs or committing crimes, or just losing their way altogether,
So
losing themselves.
Exactly. And if I can tell you this story, so we had a little girl. She was 14. This was right at the tail end of COVID. She started to be trafficked by her boyfriend. And she didn't even know that she was being trafficked. And he said to her, well, if we're boyfriend and girlfriend now I want you also to have a relationship with my friend. And he was getting paid. And so her mom was a single mom. She had a little brother. Mom's working 2 jobs. She doesn't know what's going on with her daughter because her daughter didn't disclose any of this.
Sure.
Probably part of her thinking that maybe this was normal, since she didn't realize she was being trafficked. And so the mom reached out to me because the little girl was incredibly depressed, cutting her arms, cutting parts of her body. And the mom called me crying. She found us on social media, and she said in broken English, "Can you help me?"
Sure.
And so she told me what was going on. Everything that she described to me were classic signs of abuse, sexual abuse.
Sure.
And so we got that little girl into therapy. That child did not miss one session. She'd have to get up early in the morning to get to the therapist, 8 o'clock every Saturday morning. She never missed a visit. She and the therapist prepared her to do paperwork and to get ready to go to college.
Yeah.
This was a child who, and she wrote me, I stay in touch with her. She wrote me a little email and she said, yeah, everyone thought that I wouldn't make it.
Sure.
And this year she went off to college to study criminal justice, and her hope is to work for the CIA or the FBI doing what? Human trafficking.
So, like, if you can help somebody, then you could get a reverse multiplier
Yeah,
effect.
yeah.
So,
Because-
like, good 33 ways versus nasty 33
Exactly.
ways.
Yeah.
Or bad.
Exactly. And
Yeah.
and all these
That's
kids, they all have the capacity to do these things. All they need is somebody just to make a little investment in them and to say to them, we believe you're going to make it.
Yeah.
And that's what we do.
That's amazing. So we've kind of like talked about, how dark this thing is, and it's hard to avoid because it's dark. It's
But look at
just
the bright side.
dark. But yeah, that's where I want to go, the bright side. So I say, okay, we've been friends for a while, and I've seen you late at night at your house diligently filling out paperwork, trying to get grants to help these kids, and I see how hard you're working. But my goal today is to try and get us just the word out to the people that know me, and as a way to try and help more people know you, because I would say, right, wrong, or indifferent, that we're in this area where we're the wealthiest county in the
Yes.
state. We are one of those places where bad things don't happen, but they do, and they probably tend to happen a little more in the shadows than other places because of that. But I want to talk about what you do every day. So, like, on the positive side of, like, okay, like, so what are you going to do? What are you going to do tomorrow to make this better? Where do you start every day working on this? Because it's a tremendous problem. So, I mean,
The first thing that I do is check my email, because 9 times out of 10, there's a referral either from a child themselves reaching
Okay.
out looking for help, or one of the sister agencies in the county. We work with all of them, I think, and or from a school district, or law enforcement. And I check the email to see, the referrals
There's
that
any
have come
requests,
in,
yeah.
and there we go. And that's how the day starts, getting back to people right away, because that's always my main goal, is to get kids into therapy and to get the incredible therapists that we have, to get them paid.
yeah, absolutely.
And the rest of it is all of the paperwork, the follow-up, the reaching out to just grantors in Chester County and outside of Chester County.
So, I mean, I know the county struggles to support this problem. We've discussed that, right? But what I'm hearing is you do have other pieces, other charities that you work with that funnel money to you as well, or how do you get your money? Are you looking for individual donations? Do you got to go to grants, or are you trying to do it all?
Well,
You know.
I think right now, especially with the federal cuts, in grants. There's right now it's going to be a bit more challenging because although we have never depended on any federal or county or state funding, we get none of that. We depend upon individual donations and grants from corporations, from civic groups, religious groups sometimes. But now with the federal cuts, everyone in Chester County is going after the same dollars.
It's competition.
So it's more competitive now. And, small grassroots organizations like a Child's Light that has been operational since 2019, we have some of these nonprofits have been around for 100, 200 years in Chester County. So they're very ingrained, and it's a knee-jerk reaction. If I'm going to make a donation, I'll give it to them because I've been giving it to them for 10 years.
Yeah.
But right now, and this is something that we don't talk about enough, is we're experiencing a childhood mental health emergency, i.e., we can see that with school shootings, these mass school shootings. Oh, yeah. And if we got the one child that is the offender, well, maybe if we got that child into mental health treatment, 26 other kids would be alive.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that kind of seems like a no-brainer. And the thing is, going forward, unless this is really addressed, I mean in a bold way, it's going to just be exacerbated. And these kids who are not treated will not have fulfilling lives. I won't have to deal with them, but your kids, my grandkids, they will. Because unfortunately, where we could have stepped in and made a difference in these kids' lives and enabled them to have stable, happy, healthy lives, we didn't. And so then now we'll have to deal with those consequences.
Tell me about your team of people, because I know you have a team of people. You have a board of directors and some people
And
that work
they're the
around
best.
you. Tell me about how do you guys do it? I mean, I've been to some of your events, little events here and there. How many people do you have working with you on this stuff? And, how's that going?
Oh, it's amazing. The board is amazing, but I am the only full-time employee, and we have one part-time person because you look at everything through a business lens.
Sure.
The way a Child's Light runs is that all of our therapists, and we have about 100, a little over 100.
You have 100 therapists.
In the provider network, from Pottstown to Parksburg and in other counties that I can reach out to.
We've established that you have a lot of kids.
Yeah.
We've established that you have a lot of therapists, so now you just need a lot of money.
Yeah. Yes, but yes.
That's what we need, right?
Yes, we do.
Okay.
I mean, only if we want the future to be a little bit brighter. And
only if we want to take care of kids, right?
Yeah.
I mean, come on.
And keep Chester County this, wonderful little bucolic area that it is.
Yeah, if our kids don't have the right help, then they're just going to be our future residents, and they're not going to be performing members of society.
Right.
So,
and we say that we want them to do that, but then we don't really give them a hand up.
well, we got to show up for them.
Exactly.
With our time and our money.
Right.
My favorite thing to say to you, is that you shouldn't exist. And it sounds so terrible, but it's
I
not
know,
that you
it's
shouldn't
true.
exist. It's that your organization shouldn't exist.
No, I know, and I totally agree with you. But the thing about a Child's Light is it's so efficient. It's so simple. It's so efficient that if we had the funding that we could hire a full-time person, we could double the amount of kids that we support. And
amazing.
And I have to tell you, the other thing that we do, and I know you know this, but we don't fund kids just to do talk therapy. We fund them to do equine therapy, and don't even get me started on that because it's magic.
Yeah.
And art therapy, music therapy, somatic therapy, which is we have one of our therapists. He actually boxes with the kids. I mean, he doesn't knock anybody out. It's not that
They
kind
actually
of thing.
do boxing?
He does.
Okay.
He
What does
does.
somatic mean? What does that mean?
It's body.
Oh, okay.
So it's like
So it's
yoga.
kind of like exercise therapy.
Yeah.
So they're
Yeah.
talking and sweating.
Right. Exactly. And the
That
kids.
seems to make a lot of sense. I've
Well,
never heard of it before
But
today.
you know what? Just think of how amazing that is. I mean, it's great for boys or girls, but just think about that in the context of a little boy
Yeah,
who
just
has
getting
been
it out, motion.
Yes. And
Yeah.
and it's empowering. It's empowering to everyone. They're getting out anger and they feel empowered and in control of their body. So they're
very cool.
Yeah, it is. He's amazing. But the board of directors, they are incredible and they step up. They're all volunteers, and we run this very, very efficiently. But it would be amazing to reach more kids.
What is the, obviously this has got to do something for you to keep you getting up in the morning. So like, and you're helping people, right? But what does this do for you? Like, what does this do for you mentally, emotionally, whatever, from doing this work? What keeps you going besides the kids and everything, and not getting overwhelmed from the problem? And what fills the cup for Leslie?
Well, of course, stories, all of our success stories with these kids. It's just amazing. But the other thing is, we just recently did a walk. It was our first walk, and it was great and successful, and there were puppies there, and so what could be better
Yeah.
than that?
Nothing's better than
But,
puppies.
but yeah, but it's honestly, it's so interesting to me when women and men will come and say to me, "I wish a child's light was around when I had been sexually abused."
Oh, so you get that too, huh?
Yeah,
Wow.
I get that more than I can tell you.
What do you do with that? What do you do with the do you say that a person, hey, let me send you to somebody, or just
If
how
they
do you-
ask,
yeah.
if they ask, but I think that is just really reaffirming that because people have gone through, and another statistic for you, 52 is the average age for a woman to disclose her abuse.
What? 52?
52. So she's
like
gone through
40 years or
Yes.
something after it happens?
Yes. And so when you
Whoa.
hear things on the radio about, or on TV or wherever, and about, well, why didn't this woman disclose earlier?
Yeah.
That's the average age. And I can tell you with my work as a victim's advocate, I would go to a facility that was an outpatient facility. And first I would talk to kids under 18, and then I would move to another room and talk to adults. And they were mostly older adults who their whole lives had not been treated for their trauma.
And they sat on it that long.
And they
huh?
sat on it, and many of them were court ordered because,
Sure.
they were under the influence and driving or whatever. And
Right.
and it's just so sad
That is
to go your whole life struggling with this when it's so easily, all of that can be easily avoided. And I'm not saying that it's a panacea. A child goes to therapy for 1 year and they'll never need therapy again. But
not how it works,
what we try to do is get them their, if it's their first time, and for many of these kids, it's their first time seeing a
for sure.
therapist.
Yeah.
So what we try to do is give them the best experience so that in the event that they're 52 years old and they remember, hey, when I was 14 and I was seeing that therapist, I felt better.
Yeah.
So maybe I'll put the drink down. Maybe I'll put whatever the drug is down. Maybe I'll go to therapy again. I have insurance.
Sure.
Maybe I'll go.
Well, yeah, I mean, it sounds to me like it's the intervention that's necessary, and I can't imagine. First of all, I can't imagine. I mean, as a father of two daughters, I mean, and then to think, okay, one of my kids doesn't tell me about this, and then they sit on it for 40 years.
Yes.
I mean, if one of my kids sits on something for 40 years from today, the likelihood is that I'm not on this earth anymore. I
Yeah.
never find out about it,
And you would be
they
amazed.
suffer all that time.
Yes, and they suffer. And you would be amazed at how many people have no clue that their children have experienced something horrible.
That's terrible. All right. So how do you get the therapists? How did you get 100 therapists to
Because
do
they're
that?
wonderful.
Because they're wonderful people.
They are.
How did
They're
they find
wonderful. Sometimes they'll reach out to me and they'll say, "Hey, I heard about what you're doing through a friend, and if you have any children that you want to send my way, I'll be more than happy to take one or two."
Sure.
Because they're taking a financial hit, right?
Oh, sure, yeah.
We're working on sliding scale. So they're not getting their $150, $200 fee. And they're
But they want to give back.
right, right. And so I have only had one therapist say to me, I can't, and that's only because I have too many pro bono clients on my schedule.
Right.
But normally, every therapist that I call
They're
will,
willing to give you some sessions.
Yeah.
A couple of patients.
yeah.
Well, that's good.
But
That's
they
good to
know, the way that
I had no idea you had 100 of them.
yeah,
That's amazing.
yeah. I have therapists in Lancaster, in Delaware, in Berks, and in Montgomery County. So that if it's a child in Chester County, but it's easier for them
Yeah.
to get to one of the collar counties,
Yeah.
we can just send them there.
So you can help kids in all those counties.
Yes, but here's the thing. We have not branched out to actually being in those counties, although we should, because I have talked to state and county officials who have said to me, this should be throughout Pennsylvania. And actually, it should be throughout the country. And I was invited to have an office over in Montgomery County. And I declined because we're getting funding primarily from Chester County, and that just doesn't feel fair. As soon as we start getting funding, out of Montgomery County, there'll be an office.
Yeah. Well, you can now if you have 100 therapists and you have them all over the place, then you just need to make like 5 or 6 more Leslies. Right? If you can make
Yes,
5 or 6
I
more
do.
Leslies,
I
100
do.
therapists, as many kids as we can get in there.
But but anyone could do this, Kirk. It's so simple.
Yeah.
It's such a simple, clean business model.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I mean, because there's no nonsense to it. It's you got a
Right.
kid, you got
Right.
therapists, you just
Right.
get
You
'em
make a
connected.
donation,
Yeah.
it goes into the bank account and back out to a therapist. That's
Yeah.
where it goes. There's no there are 40 employees, everyone
Yeah.
needs to. No, that's not how it is. It's incredibly
This is
efficient.
why we like to give money small.
Oh.
This is
We
smaller,
we appreciate everything you give us.
Well, we're going to do more for you. We're going to do more. And this is part of my plan to do more for you, is try and get some more eyeballs on what you do, because it's important to me. I usually bring my friends here with their businesses and stuff. And this is a business, I guess, in the regards of you need money, so it's
Yeah.
a business. But it's a business that I would prefer didn't exist. But it exists, so we need to fund it. So that's the way it goes.
And the thing is, I think that a lot of people may have thought, oh, this is a passion project for a mom who has lost her daughter. But I've been doing this for 10 years.
Right.
And the need does not go down, and a child's light just keeps getting bigger and bigger.
Good.
And because there is a need and we're filling that need.
Yeah. Well, as long as there's the need there, as long as the need's getting bigger, we want you to get bigger. That's for sure. Tell me, and I know some things and some things that we've talked about, but without getting into the nitty gritty, but let's talk about some of the topics around this. Like, what about the schools or the system, if you will, that is failing? Like, how is it failing to create this need? Like, where are we dropping the ball
So
in regards to the system, I guess?
this might be,
Schools.
it might be oversimplified, but I think post COVID, that really exacerbated and shone a spotlight on a lot of the agencies and the gaps that they have, schools included.
How so, though?
But
how did COVID show that gap?
because I think that when kids came back after COVID, so many of them had their mental health had decreased so much, and it was this totsunami that who knew? We never have experienced a thing like COVID before. So this was totally brand new. And I'm not kidding. It was a tsunami of kids that needed help.
So did it exacerbate things that were happening, or did it
I
create
think
new
to
things
some
in
part.
mental health?
No, I think to some part, because you have to remember that, well, first of all, child therapy is really family therapy. So
Sure,
you have people that were locked down under incredible stress and uncertainty, and the kids are taking that all in. And then, of course, there were abuses that may not have happened that did.
Yeah.
And that's a hard truth, but that's what it is. And so, I think as a community, we're expecting all these agencies just to start back up and all the kids will be fine. And people seem to think that when a bad thing happens to kids, that there's some sort of fairy that comes in and takes care of them. And
Well, there's
that's
residual trauma, I guess.
that does not happen, unfortunately.
Yeah, I mean, that makes sense to me. I mean,
And
everything's back to normal.
right,
That doesn't happen.
right. No, it doesn't. And so, there was a report that I might have even mentioned this to you, done by a group called Children First out of Philadelphia, and they do reports on all the counties. And so Chester County, the report that they put out said that there are 23,000 kids in need of mental health treatment.
Say that again, 23,000?
Yeah. And I was just talking to someone, a representative from a sister agency, and she said to me, "Oh, that's totally underreported." And I said, "Of course it is." Because
Well, there's like 550,000 people in the county. 23,000 kids need mental health support right now.
yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's a big number.
Yeah, it's a big number.
That's a huge
And
number.
that's what I'm saying. It's kind of unfair for anyone to think that one agency is going to be able to take care of those kids.
Not
It's
possible.
an impossible. It's not. It's not possible.
Too many.
And we could have a whole nother conversation on the kids who have come here unescorted from various countries and the incredible things that they have.
endured.
It's
I've
amazing.
I've seen some things that I don't even want to talk
No,
about.
no.
That I've heard about what happens with that, with the trafficking and the
And that didn't
the
stop.
abuse and everything. Yeah.
That didn't stop.
No, it's terrible stuff.
And so now these kids are here,
Mm-hmm.
and they're adding, they're being, actually, I don't even know in that report if they added those kids who
Yeah.
came here
They don't
unescorted.
know who they are, where
Exactly.
they are. Yeah.
So they couldn't be added, and there are so many of them. And they're going to stay here. They're going to be here in
Yeah.
this country. And so again, do we want to take care of these kids and have them be productive, happy, healthy community members, or do we want to have them struggling?
Well, they're a drag. If we don't help, they're a drag on the community anyway. And it's just not good. It's not good to not do whatever we can.
Yeah.
So, what's the hardest truth about child abuse that nobody wants to hear about? That's a crazy question, right?
Of course that it exists.
Yeah.
But the thing is, no matter how much prevention and education that we do, and there are many agencies in the county that have wonderful programs that do that. But the fact is that child is going to go home, and as soon as an uncle, mom's boyfriend, their father, those kids are in a different situation. And this belief that if they get a little bit of training in their school, run away, tell somebody,
Yeah.
that doesn't happen. And that is an awful truth that will never, it is a reality of humans, of human existence.
That there's a certain level of this that's going to happen, and we need to be
And of
able
course,
to do what we can on the other side
yeah.
too.
And of course, that's an extreme, but there
Right.
are all those things in between. And so we can have these programs in place, but the reality is this will continue forever. And there needs to be someone that, gets in there and does the hard work and runs into the fire and helps these kids.
Yeah. Well, it sounds like you got an army. You need a bigger army, but it sounds like you got an army. If you had the opportunity to say to every single parent around the county, the country, wherever, one thing that they needed to know about this whole topic, what would that be?
You don't know everything. You don't know everything.
Don't know everything about.
What your child's experienced.
Yeah, I mean, I think
You
that's a rational thought, right?
Yeah, you think that your children will come to you, but there might be instances where they don't. And so at the first sign of what you think is problematic behavior, look for help.
Look for a therapist.
Yeah, immediately.
Yep. Yeah, I think that's solid advice. So how do I talk to my kids about things, that, are tough for me to face? Some of these thoughts are tough for me to face, let alone the realities. How do we talk to the kids about all this stuff? How can we, as parents, get a little more proactive?
I think having them in the car.
Yeah, in the car. Yeah,
In the car.
That's where I talk to my kids. That's a good point. Yep.
Yes. And I think just always talking about it and just always letting them know that you're a safe place.
That they can tell you stuff.
And even if they can't tell you, and I would say this to any child, if you can't tell me, tell somebody
tell
else.
somebody else.
Because we had a case where a little girl was being abused, and her classmates actually were the ones who reported it. She didn't. The classmates, yes, all these little classmates got together and they went to the principal and reported it.
That's phenomenal.
Yeah.
So knowing that, you're doing this work, which is amazing. What is your goal? Like, where do you want to be, in 5 years with this?
Oh, I want this to be national.
Okay.
Because
that's your ultimate goal.
It's easily scalable.
Well, I mean, it sounds like it's a simple concept.
Yeah.
Set up some kind of organization, connect with the people that are on the front lines, have them know that where the county or the state or whatever local municipality cannot help them, that there's help available on the side.
Yep.
So That's a big goal.
Yeah, it is. It
I
is.
love it. I love big goals, but I'm not saying, hey, that's a big goal. Slow down. I'm saying that's an amazing big goal. Saying quite the opposite. So, you and I have this discussion all the time, and you're used to it by now. Where I'm like, hey, Leslie, can I give you some money? Tell me you need it, but maybe don't tell me everything. We're laughing. It's not a funny topic, but I'm laughing more at my uncomfortable. Like someone like me doesn't. I like people and I believe in people, and like I call me naive or whatever, but I just like when I hear some of this stuff, I'm like I can't even believe that this exists. But I guess I've been blessed to be raised with love. And these kids
But even if you, yeah, but that's the thing. Most of these kids are loved, but they're in an adult world trying
Right.
to navigate
it,
that.
yeah.
And if they're not talking to anyone about what's
they don't know. People around them don't know that they need help. But the real gist of that question was like, for someone that's like overwhelmed by the details or by this, but wants to help out, what could someone someone like me or like Brian or like any of the guys around here or gals around here, what could we do as someone that's overwhelmed by this to help?
really just either volunteer some time by, whatever, if we're doing a table event, come out and do that. And if you want to make a donation, and it doesn't matter how large or small, of course, the bigger the better.
Sure.
But make a donation. You don't have to hear the horror. There are plenty of other people that are in that space that are the buffer. But know that your donation is not going to a salary. It's actually going to save a kid's life.
That's what I love. That's what I love about that. Like the seeing you do the stuff like, late at night with your readers on trying to fill out a grant thing and trying to get it done and turned in. It's like, I'm not giving it money to just some random charity that has a great TV commercial that makes me sad, and then they get my credit card, and then the credit card company charges them 3%, and then you read about these charities, and they, we use 23 cents on the dollar.
Right.
It's like, well, where did the money go?
Yeah.
Obviously organizations are going to have expenses, but if you can find organizations to give to that aren't wasting the money, and that's.
And the thing is, it's helping the county that you're living in.
Local. Yeah. Local. Buy local, help local.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. And your kids are going to school with those kids, with these
yeah.
problems.
Yeah, a kid has a big problem and acts out, and it could be my kid's problem.
Right.
That's a tough one. So how do people get in touch with you or your organization to volunteer, to give money, to do anything they can for you?
So we have a new email address, thanks to one of our incredible board members who has pulled me into 2025. And they can go to connect@childslight.com.
Okay.
And so that way we can, start a discussion. They can always call or text 610-405-2968. And reach out, and if they need help or if they want to make a donation, we can walk them through it, or they can just go to the website
And
at
it's
childslight.com and make a donation.
And you're a full, what is it,
501c3.
So you're fully certified, and they can make a tax deductible donation.
Yes.
Yeah, why give the money to the government when we can give it to you?
Exactly. Exactly.
I would much rather give it to you personally, but
Well, thanks.
Give plenty to them. I can
Thank
give
you.
a little to you. So what other things do you want us to know? Because I want to help, my friends that pay attention to my content and my life, I always tell them about you. So hopefully they'll pay a little more attention.
That's nice. Thank you.
Like, how you get in touch with you, you can make a donation, you can volunteer, you can use all those things. Lastly, what I want to say is, number one, I want to say thank you for doing this work, because, you got to wake up one day and decide to do something like this. You're putting yourself into all of the messy things that happen in the world. I'm sure it takes a toll on you. And you're strong enough to put up with it, which is why exactly the reason you're doing it, which is exactly why you're doing it, because that's how it works. And what gives you hope when you do this? Let's leave with that. Why should we have hope? Why should we have hope in a dark situation like this?
There's and I saved this because I wanted to. This is pretty much the essence, I think, of A Child's Light and what we do, and it's a beautiful little quote by Desmond Tutu. Mm-hmm. And he said, "We need to stop just pulling people out of the river. We need to go upstream and find out why they're falling in." And I think that that's what we do. And that gives me hope for every child that we get upstream. Mm-hmm. It will change their lives.
Yeah.
And in turn, make our whole world better. I know that sounds idealistic, but it is a fact.
Well, yes, and beautiful as well. I mean, there's
it's
nothing
perfect.
better. There's nothing better. I mean, look, if you're not for trying to help kids in this crazy world, I don't know what you can be for. So we're going to keep doing the best on whatever I can do for you. I will always try and do.
You.
And I'm hoping to get more people to support you, especially in our local community, where I think there's a lot of people that maybe are as naive as me that don't realize what kind of needs there are in this, in this special place that we live in. Because I mean, let's be honest, this is living here.
Yeah,
I mean,
it is.
We are
It's
all blessed
wonderful.
to live here.
For
but
sure.
It's not perfect. It's not perfect, and it will never be perfect. But it can be it can be better.
Yeah.
It can be better for these children.
It
So.
can.
I'm always so impressed with you, Leslie. I really appreciate the time. And again, we're just going to be supporting you. And we're going to do it. We're going to do it in 2026. We're going to donate from my team. We're going to donate $300 per transaction to A Child's Light next year, because that's what you need to start that initial training. So we're going to do that, and it's going to add up to a little bit of money. I wish it was $1 million, but
Thank you, Kirk.
we're going to dedicate that right now, and we're going to start that for you. And we're going to support you as little as I am. I'm going to be the little guy, and I know you know a lot of big people. So maybe we can inspire some big people. If you're listening to this and you're thinking you can do without even an extra 6-pack of soda this week, give the money to Leslie. She'll take it and she'll do good work with it. And you'll feel good about yourself, and the children will feel good about themselves. And hopefully we can keep this movement going for you.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I can't thank you enough.